Artists are experts at visual storytelling with a stroke of their brush. An artist who's exceptionally skilled at this would be Jan van Eyck and his famous artwork, Arnolfini Portrait, whose true meaning will never be uncovered. As such, many theories and speculations are made about this unique painting. So let's talk about them. The Arnolfini Portrait, which consists of Italian merchant Giovanni di Niccolao Arnolfini and his wife, has numerous symbols that hint at the true meaning, such as, in the back there, you could spot a mirror with roundels at the edge that depict the Passion of Christ. The scenes of the living Christ are on the man's side, and the scenes of his death and resurrection are on the woman's. If you squint, you could also make out two figures that are watching the scene, and they are positioned where we would be. It also brings up the signature below the mirror that is written in Latin, which translates to Johannes van Eyck was here, and many others presume that one of the people overlooking could be Van Eyck himself, as an artist does with his paintings. The other person could easily be assumed as us. This small but noticeable bit makes it feel more natural, as if we are witnessing this unnamed event from a standing viewpoint. Many have theorized that the man is proposing to the woman, and that the woman is pregnant. However, if you look closer, you can tell she only holds up her highly fashionable Renaissance-era robes. If you look lower, you can clearly see a shabby dog staring into your soul. This dog symbolizes fidelity and loyalty, which also adds to the marriage theory. And if we scoot up, we see the man and woman holding hands that are rather close to the action of pledging vows. Shoes are taken off, marking it a holy place or a sacred event happening, like a marriage obviously. But I'm about to toss those theories somewhere else for the time being, because even if that could be true, there are many other speculations roaming about. Tracking back to the mirror roundels, the man has the living Christ on his side, and the woman has scenes of death and resurrection. And if we look toward the ceiling at the magnificent chandelier, we clearly see the man has a candle lit on his side, which symbolizes the presence of God, while the woman does not. Note that one of the woman's shoes is on the carpet, symbolizing death at childbirth perhaps, a depressing thought. Above the woman's hand are wooden grotesques, possibly foretelling her passing. These all point to another theory. The woman may have died, possibly during childbirth, and this double portrait is a memorial between the merchant and his wife. A sad story, wouldn't you agree? In contrast to the somber mood, let's move on to how history would have affected such a masterpiece. Jan van Eyck painted this double portrait back in 1434, as the signature literally says, during the Northern Renaissance times, and the painting itself is set in Old Bruges. Back in these days, fashion was entirely different from now. Women and men wore robes, tunics, or kirtles that were usually worn over the shirt or doublet. Other garments were typically made of wool. Very different from fashion nowadays, and because our fashion is so drastically different now from then, this may be why people immediately assume the woman is pregnant. This is clearly shown in the portrait, with the man and woman wearing heavy robes with fur lining and a peculiar, albeit fashionable for the era, lace on her head. Fashion like this was so popular that if we look at the little crack on the outside world, fruits can be seen on trees, which makes us suspect it's spring or summertime, yet here they are wearing fine winter clothing. Odd, but I can see why. Oranges also hold meaning. In the modern era, you can walk into your local supermarket and purchase oranges reasonably cheap. But back in the Renaissance period, they were costly. This infers that the merchant was wealthy, and we can also include the intricately woven rug to suggest his potential wealthiness. Jan van Eyck was the greatest painter during his time, though let's not start debating if you think this is true or not. His technique to use oil paint in a way that has never been used before is brilliant. The use of oil paint allowed him to achieve rich colors that normal tempera couldn't reach as well, and with his technique created a luminous quality on his artwork. Van Eyck's technique consisted of applying multiple, very thin layers and the use of thinned-out oil paint so the layers would be translucent. He painted underdrawings, and soon layered and layered until it created the look he desired, creating that extraordinary, subtle light that most paintings couldn't. His technique created such a beautiful tone and creates a sense of high realism. He is a genius, if I do say so myself. His technique also helped make everything extremely high quality, like the shabby dog, the little roundels that would be the size of fingernails, yet we can see the drawings inside, and the tiny lines of fur. This painting is fascinating, and the stories it creates can be hundreds. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more art-related videos from my channel.